What's up, guys? Welcome back to the garage. It's very unfortunate that I'm having to make this video because, as you can see, the OBS is back in here. I thought I had the air conditioner fixed. It held pressure for an hour and a half. You guys saw it on the video. Hour and a half. 2 weeks later, it's back to cycling again and it's completely empty. But we got a plan. We got some new tools. We got a plan. We're going to fix it right this time. I hope so. I really don't want to take it to a professional. But I'm not a professional, so I'm running out of ideas. So it's getting warm in South Texas, and air conditioner is a must, especially in the rainy season like it is now. You can't have your windows down when it's warm outside and also pouring rain. So we've got to get this thing fixed. We've got to. So what I did is I picked up this leak detector set. It's got the glasses and the flashlight and some UV leak freon. I also have some brake clean. And the plan is to go through all of the connections in here and clean them with the brake clean and make sure that it has no residue whatsoever from previous leaks, because it has had previous leaks. And I'm pretty certain that the oil that goes into the system also has UV detector in it. So I want to make sure it's clean. Once I get done with that, then I'm going to vacuum down the system just like we've done before. And then I'm going to refill it with at least this can and maybe one other, just enough to get it to start working, get it to run, get it to build pressure. And once it builds pressure, I'll let it run for a while. And then we will use the glasses here and the flashlight, because this stuff glows under UV, under black light, and that's what this is. So then we'll be able to see exactly where the leaks are and hopefully fix them for sure. So that's the plan, and we're going to get started. Let's go. So there are quite a few connectors here that could be the culprit. We've got the main one on the compressor back here. This is a big double-sided one. We've got 3 across here, plus this sensor. There's one down low, down there. And then there's 2 inside the grill back here. I'm pretty sure these crimp connections are good because these are all new hoses, so they should be fine. It's the threaded connections or the bolt connections that I'm worried about. So that's what we're going to do. I've got my brake clean. I've got me a little brush. I'm going to spray these and kind of wipe them a little bit. And then we're going to have to black it out in here. I've got a blanket to cover this window so we can see with the black light. Make sure everything's clean, and then we'll pull out our gauges and our pump, vacuum it down, and see what happens. All right, so this is kind of what we're going to be looking for. I know it's a little blurry. I'm trying to put the glasses over the lens, but you see the glow there. That's the compressor. I know it's a little blurry, but that's the compressor, and it's got a little bit of yellow here in the front. That's kind of what we're looking for. All the other ones look pretty clean, with the exception of the one down here in the bottom of the grill. There is some color on it. I don't know if you can see it in the camera, but it does have a little glow to it. The glasses do help, but it's hard to get them on the camera. But it's going to glow like the glasses do if there's a leak. You can see it there. That's what it's going to look like. So I guess I'm going to have to pull the grill so I can actually clean that one. I sprayed it, but I couldn't get a brush down there to reach it. So I'm going to pull the grill, clean that one up, and then we'll get started getting the system recharged. It's dark in here. It's working good. All right. All right, got this one cleaned up. There's still a little bit on the bottom there, but it's clean for the most part. That one's clean. Everything's clean. There's a little bit around this sensor. Clean that up pretty good. That down there where I spilled, that's what it's going to look like. That's a really good example. So that's what we're looking for. I spilled some of the oil whenever I was trying to put some in the system. All right, so I'm going to get the lights turned back on. We're going to evac the system, suck it down with the vacuum pump, and get started. Hopefully this works. All right, vacuum pump is running, pulling the system down. It's going down pretty good. I'm gonna let that run. Since this is just kind of a test run, I'm not gonna do the full, like a long time, maybe 15 minutes, just to get a good vacuum on it. Because you're not just pulling the air out of the system. When you pull a vacuum like that, it causes any moisture, any water in the system to boil, because water boils at a lower temperature whenever it's under a vacuum. So it boils out any moisture and dries out the system as well. My system hasn't been open, so I'm hoping my dryer is still good. It hasn't had outside air in it. It just hasn't had any pressure. So we're gonna let this run for about 15 minutes, and then we're gonna start filling it up. I'm not even gonna worry about this holding, because I know it's not gonna hold. I'm just gonna get air back into it, or freon back into it, and let it run for a while and see if we see any leaks. All right? See you guys in a minute. Well, it took 4 cans, and it still keeps cycling. I'm beginning to wonder if maybe I have a bad pressure switch. I think that's the low side pressure, and this is the high side. This one is kind of loose, I think. I'm wondering if I have a bad switch, because it shouldn't be doing that with 48 ounces of juice. It should take only a 30 or 32 to run correctly. But I'm gonna let it run. Hopefully it doesn't cycle too much. And then I'm gonna check and see if we have any bright leaks. Try to identify what's going on. So that's where we're at right now. It keeps doing that. And that's why I put so much in it in the last video, because it kept doing that, and it took a lot for it to stop. But that's not right. It was overfilled before. Because these are 12-ounce cans, and they said to start at about 30 ounces and then add a few ounces at a time until it runs right. So it should not have taken 4 of these. But that's where we're at. So I'm gonna let it run a little while, and then we're gonna get out the light and check it again. But it finally settled in and quit cycling, which is good. I was having a hard time getting the residual old stuff off with brake clean. It just wasn't really getting it, but gun scrubber works great. It takes it right off without any brushing or anything. So now that I've cleaned it, I'm gonna let it run a little longer. But I think this crimp is gonna be the problem. Unfortunately, I've cleaned it multiple times and it keeps coming back. So I cleaned it really, really good the last time, and I'm gonna see in just a minute. Everything else looks good. There's no new stuff. I even checked the condenser out here to make sure that it didn't leak, because that was a new condenser. It shouldn't have, but I wanted to make sure. So I'm gonna give it a couple more minutes, and then I'm gonna get the light and we'll have a look. All right, let it run a few more minutes, turn the lights off, so we're gonna have a look here. It's not completely dark in here, but I think it's dark enough to be able to see. So there is a little bit of green there. This down here, I couldn't get it to come off. I'm gonna snug that one up a little more, just to make sure. I did change the seal on that one in the last video. Maybe I didn't get it tight enough. This one looks clean. All of these back here are clean. The one down there is clean. There is more green on that sensor that I think I cleaned out earlier, but nothing on the compressor here. So I know we replaced these seals last time. I wonder if it was signaling off of that sensor instead of this. Yeah, see, there's more green on that. That's not good, because I can't tighten that. Everything else looks good. That one's good. That one's good. So it looks like I'm going to have to replace this this connector here that goes to the back of the compressor and the 2 hoses. That's very Not good. Not good. All right. I'm going to try to pull this sensor out and see if there's a seal in there that can be replaced first. Because this may just be nothing. But it looks like something. I don't know how easy you guys can see that, but there's some green in there. All right, when we get the lights turned back on, we're going to pull that sensor out and see what happens. Yeah, I just realized something. If I pull that sensor out, it's going to dump the whole system. I don't want to do that yet. I want to let it sit with the pressure that it normalizes at. Looks like about 60 psi, 70 psi on both sides. And see if the green gets any worse anywhere, because it's going to leak out. It did in the past. It goes flat pretty quick. So I'm just going to let it sit. I'm going to go ahead and order that hose set and get that on its way. I'm probably going to go ahead and order both pressure switches. Since I'm going to have to evac the system anyway, I might as well replace them. I don't think they're that expensive. And this one here looks like the top hose. So I'm going to snug this one up a little bit more and make sure that it's tight. And then we'll pick the video back up when I get parts. It'll probably be a few days, maybe next weekend. And hopefully we can get this thing fixed. But for now it's going to set. I'm going to let it go flat. See if I see any more of the green dye. Give me a little bit better idea of what's going on. For you guys, it'll just be a second. So we'll see you then. A little bit more progress on the OBS. Got the parts in. I ordered that same hose assembly, but this time I got a different brand, a little bit higher end brand, hoping that these crimp ends will be better shape and not leak on this one. I also got the 2 sensors. And I ordered a set of these snap ring pliers. So I didn't have any. I think I may have had one. So I got a set of those off of Amazon. Specifically for that sensor here on the top of the compressor. It does have a snap ring holding it in, so we're going to need something for that. But, you know, never have too many tools. New tools are always a plus. So we got those coming in. Go to use those for this. I'll have a look over here. See how things are looking. See, I left everything connected the last time when we left off on the video. And the frustratingest part about this entire ordeal is it still has pressure. 75 pounds-ish on both sides. It's been a week, almost a week, and it still got pressure. But the last time I filled it correctly and used the truck, it was dead flat in 2 weeks. So, like, why is it not leaking now? I don't know. But I'm going to replace the sensor there. Replace the sensor there. Replace this hose assembly. Comes out to the tops of the condenser here. Put a little bit of oil in the system. And this time I think I'm going to go both ways. I'm going to use the vacuum, wherever that thing, the vacuum pump to vacuum down the system and make sure it holds. I'm also going to figure out a way to connect my shop air to the system and pressurize it with just standard air instead of $12 a bottle freon. Just standard air. Try to get 100, 150 psi in there. I think that's what my 120, I think is what mine tops out at. And see if that holds. Because I guess these seals and the way these joints are made, it could hold pressure but not vacuum, or vice versa. So I want to make sure both hold before I go any further, because I'm tired of buying freon. I'm tired of having to deal with this. I just want it to work. So that's the plan. That's what we're going to do. So once I get all of those parts switched out, we will pick back up and we will do some pressure testing on the system and see what happens. All right, new low pressure sensor and seal going on back here. The old one doesn't have a PSI markings, but this one says on at 42 and off at 21. So hopefully that's the right one. They look the same. Compare it here side by side. Same color and everything, just the old one doesn't have any PSI markings. It's got just part numbers. So hopefully it's the right one, and hopefully this one works better. I want to get it switched out real quick, and then we'll change out the high pressure side and start changing out this hose assembly. All right, high pressure switch, old one is out, along with the seal. It is a bit different on that one. It's not very easy to get out. It's kind of embedded in a ring inside that hole there, in that lip. So you got to kind of dig it out with a screwdriver. But they look the same. They're the same color at least. None of them have any markings as far as pressures or anything. But the new one does come with a new snap ring and everything. So I'm going to pop the new seal in, pop the new sensor in, new snap ring, and then we'll work on this hose assembly. We got to remember to tighten this guy up. I'm going to pull it apart and check that seal again. I think I may try to go with one that's like I got a thicker diameter on the rubber part of the seal, maybe to make it a little fatter so it'll seal better. Yep, progress. All right, things are looking up. So I got, like I said, both of the sensors replaced. I got this hose assembly replaced. I went ahead and put a few ounces of oil in that hose because I lost a little bit over all the various things that we've done. Everything's tight. I redid the seal on this guy. This guy's tight. I was able to rig up this, and I don't even know how to tell you what it is. It's just bits and pieces I found in my workbench and in this fuel pressure testing kit. Managed to get it together enough to be able to connect my air compressor hose to the side of the gauges that you normally connect that vacuum pump to. And I was able to get 120 psi of air into the system. Get a light. It's a little hard to see. Yeah, 120 on that side. Just under 120 on that side. So I've got this sealed up. All of these are closed. Well, I thought they were. I'm going to close them. Close these up. That's closed. That's closed. And now we wait. I'm going to let it set at 120 psi. Probably what I'm going to do is do the old tire trick where you mix up some soapy water and you spray your little connections. I don't know if there's going to be enough airflow to actually make some type of suds come up, but it's better than nothing. I've at least got to try because this is getting ridiculous. But I'm going to leave this as it is. I'm going to take a picture of it so that I know exactly where they are. And I'm going to leave it overnight. I know it's going to change some with temperature, but it should not drop significantly. So that's the plan. That's what I'm going to do. And I will pick back up with you guys tomorrow once I see how the pressure holds. All right. See you in a second. Well, guys, I don't know what to do. I've refilled the system with air a couple of times using the air chuck, and it's back to nothing again. It's barely got any pressure in it at all right now. But the problem is there's no evidence. So I cleaned all the parts. I went and got some more gun scrubber. That stuff works really good at taking the old evidence off from prior leaks. But you can look here, like, it's clean. Like, there's nothing there. And I mean, you can see, like, this is what it would look like if there was a leak. Like, you can see where I spilled down there. So that's what it would be like. It's bright, and it's not, there's nothing there. Nothing on that one. Nothing up here on any of these. Nothing on anything back here. Even the one down at the bottom down there. None of these
crimp fittings are showing any signs. I mean, nothing. So I guess maybe using compressed air it's not going to work. I guess the air is not going to, I mean, there's a bunch of oil and there's a bunch of, that dye in this system. And I thought that the air leaking out would carry it with it, but I guess it's not doing it. So I'm going to have to put some freon in there to get it to push out the dye to see where the leak is. Because, like I said, I've replaced everything, with the exception of the compressor. The compressor I haven't changed, but that's not the original compressor that came on the truck. So I assumed that a previous owner changed it and it was good. Newer than the truck at least. I've replaced everything back there, everything up here, all of the hoses, even the evaporator in the dash, because it was stripped. It was one of the previous videos, it was stripped down there, that fitting in the bottom. I don't know what else to do. So I guess I'm gonna have to go get some freon. I hate spending $12 a bottle every time I do that, because it takes 3 or 4 to get it to even cycle. It's $40, $50 a pop just to tell me where the leak is so I can drain it again. And it's frustrating, but I think I'm going to vacuum it down, see if that holds. But it seems like from prior experience that even if it'll hold a vacuum, it won't hold pressure, or vice versa. And pressure is what it runs on. That's how the air conditioner works. It's got to be able to hold like 80. I think it levels out about 90 PSI on both sides when you shut the system off. So it's got to be able to hold that forever, or it's just going to leak down again. So I'm kind of at a loss of what to do. I don't really know anybody that does air conditioning stuff. So I don't know. We'll see. But I guess I'm going to go tomorrow and get some more freon and put that in it. See how long it lasts. See if I get air conditioner for a couple of weeks. Go from there. Frustrating, but we'll figure it out. All right, guys, we're back on this thing. As you saw in the last part of the video, the compressed air is just not working. It won't hold air. It won't hold vacuum. But it's not pushing out the fluid inside it for the stop leak, so I can see why. So I got some more Freon. I'm just going to do like 1 can, just enough to get it to build a little bit of pressure, and then let it ride overnight or a few hours at least, and then come back and try to find this leak. It seems to be worse than it was before I replaced all the parts, which I find fascinating because it's all new seals and everything. And I even disconnected the gauges the last time I put the air compressor on it to make sure it wasn't a leak with this system and not the truck. And it still went down quickly. So I'm going to throw a can in there, maybe 2. It's just, I mean, it's like takes $50 every time I fill this thing up just to drain it again to fix a leak, and it's getting expensive. So I've got to change that up. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to throw some juice in there, and then I'll pick you guys up in a few hours. We'll see where the leak is and try to figure out what we need to do next. So I guess you could call it progress. It took the first can straight through because I had a vacuum on the system, and it started doing this slow cycle, which is totally different than what it was doing before. So I guess one of the sensors was bad, but now it's not staying on very long to take the second can. It hasn't taken much at all. I can see progress through the little sight hole, and it slowly is getting longer and longer cycles, but it's not taking this can very fast at all. I don't know if that's the right way it's supposed to happen, because I've never done this before, or if now something else is wrong. So see, it's the compressor's sticking on a lot longer as we go, and it's taking that can, but very slowly. So I'm going to let it keep going until it drinks down this can and see what it does. It's actually blowing cool air. It's not cold, but it's cooler than outside. So I'm gonna let it ride and see what happens. Hopefully it settles down. So I think I figured it out. I still had the high side valve open on the meter, on the gauges here. And I guess it was back feeding high pressure in and making the can not come down. So I closed that, and now the pressures are starting to go back where they're supposed to be. You see the low side's dropping to where it's supposed to be. The high side's going to where it's supposed to be. So we're looking at between 20 and 40, I think. I don't have to look at the numbers. 20 and 40 on the cold side, and like 75 to 120 on the high side. Again, I'll have to go back and check the numbers just off the top of my head, but it seems like it's doing better than it was. The compressor is actually staying on now, so let's see if it's blowing cold air. Oh yeah, it's blowing some cold air. It's definitely not as cold as it can be, but it's for sure cooler than what's in the garage here. It's almost 90 in the garage, so it's a little warm. But now the compressor's staying on. The can's cold, so it's taking the can. I think it may be empty now. So I'm gonna let that run for a while, maybe 10 minutes or so, now that it's got some pressure in it. 2 cans was enough to get it to stop cycling, which did not happen before. Before we had even 4 cans in it, and it kept doing the fast click, 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 click cycle. So maybe one of those sensors was bad, and this is progress. I really hope so, because it's getting frustrating. But I'm gonna let it ride. See if I can starting to see some moisture down here. So the cold side is cold. The hot side is very hot. So it's phase changing, it's doing its thing. Now I just gotta see if where the leaks are. So I'm gonna let it run for a little while, like I said, and then we'll check for leaks. All right, so this is pretty exciting, guys. I just looked up the information that I've used in the past, and it says for the low side, you're looking at 30 to 35 PSI, and on the high side, between 175 and 220. And it's dead set just above 30 on the low side, and just above 200 on the high side, which is right in the middle of the range where it's supposed to be. The compressor's staying on, it's cooling, and it only took 2 cans to get there. I really think one of those sensors was bad, so I'm really excited that that's fixed and that's progress. So now I've just got to find the leak. So far, that's not worked. I'm gonna turn the lights off and grab the flashlight and we'll have a look. I know it's not super obvious, but you can kind of tell, like on the bottom down there where it's green, where I've leaked before, I've spilled. So there's really nothing going on with this fitting. Really nothing going on with this fitting. The crimp connections look good. These crimp connections look good. The back of the compressor, that sensor is clean. All of the connections back here are clean. And even the one down low. I'm not seeing any leaks, but it's only been maybe 10 minutes of runtime. So I think now that the pressure has settled in, I'm going to shut it down and let it equalize. It should equalize out to about 80, 85 PSI on both sides when it's not running. We'll make sure we hit those numbers, and I'm going to let it sit for a few hours and see if it shows a leak. Progress though, it's running a lot better than it was. Running the way I would expect it would for the amount of freon that I put in it. All right, so shut it down and let it settle in. It's settled in like 85 on both sides, which is right there. They said 80 to 90 PSI with the system off is good. So everything seems to be working the way it's supposed to, even with only, what are these, 16 ounce? 12 ounce. So that's 24 ounces of freon. And everything I've read online says to start with 30 and slowly add until you get a good reading. So half a can, maybe a full third can should get us where we're supposed to be as far as volume. But I've still got to figure out this leak, and that's the big thing. If I can't find this leak, then it's pointless to just keep filling it. I don't want to use stop leak because I've heard bad things. I heard it gums stuff up. But literally, the only thing in this entire system that has not been replaced is that compressor. And I didn't replace the compressor because it looked newer when I bought the truck than the rest of the engine bay, like it had already been replaced. This truck did have air conditioner problems when I bought it, but it was mostly with the dash. Like the dash gauges, the adjustment gauges would just light up and flash or not light up at all. And I think it was a bad connection with the relays over here, because once I fiddled with those, it started working. If you go back to the original, I'm pretty sure I put that in one of the original videos from rebuilding this truck. If I have to get a compressor, I do. They're expensive, like $150, but I've spent probably $350 in freon refilling this thing over and over and over, just to have to drain it back out. So that's where we're at. I'm going to let it ride while I go eat, and we'll come back and check it out. Just for reference, just above 80. So if I come back later and it's below 80, then we'll know we got a problem. All right, guys. See you in a second. Well, guys, I give it about an hour or so to come back out. We still got good pressures where it was before. But when I noticed, after I checked all of the different fittings, the only place I can see any color is on the side of the compressor right here. And I've cleaned it a few times, but I feel like that shouldn't be doing that. So I'm going to clean it one last time really good, like spray it in there a lot, and let it continue to sit. And if it comes back, then we'll know for sure. But I think it looks like it may be the compressor. I'm going to clean it up, give it a few hours, and we'll see. All right, good and clean now. It's not as obvious on the camera, I think, as it is in person. There was quite a bit before, but it looks like we're good now. There's no glowy spots. There's a little bit down there, but that's just a flat piece. That doesn't really matter. It's this edge that I'm worried about. So right along this seam right here is where it's been coming up. So I cleaned it out real good. But I don't know of any reason why that should be coming out there. Even if it was a spill, you know, a residual from something else, it shouldn't come out there. So I'm going to come check it in a little while, and if it's wet again, then I'll know for sure. And I'll get another compressor. Hopefully that's it. We'll see. All right, so I cleaned the crap out of this yesterday. I'm trying to hold these glasses up over the lens to make it easier for you guys to see this flashlight. So hopefully this works good. So we're going to check this fitting down here first. Nothing there. And you can see there's no glow. Let's make sure this is working. So down here in the bottom where I spilled before, yeah, you can see that glow. That's I think it might work better without the glasses. Hang on. Let's get those out of the way. Oh yeah, works better without the glasses for the camera. So you see that glow down there, that's what we're looking for. So we're going to check these fittings. So all of these crimp fittings are good. All of these fittings back here, no glow. The ones up front, no glow. But I know we talked about this compressor. We'll look at the back of the compressor first. No glow on that fitting, no glow on the sensor I replaced. But this front, It's not as bad as it was, but especially right there. You can see that glow, and it's like oozing out underneath that edge, and a lot more up top up here. I cleaned the crap out of this with that spray yesterday. Like, it was clean, as you saw in the video, and it's back. So it looks like it's going to be the compressor, which I guess is a double-edged sword. Because, I mean, it seems to be a smoking gun. That's the last thing that I haven't changed yet. But, unfortunately, that's the most expensive part. So, I'm going to get online. It looks like one that I found on Rock Auto, so I'm going to go and order it. Get it sent this way. Hopefully it's here this week and we can get it changed out. But it looks like the compressor somehow is leaking internally. I don't know how that works, but that's the last thing. So I'm going to go with that. Got to spend the money to get it fixed because it's getting hot here and you can't drive a vehicle in Texas without air conditioning and expect to look decent when you get where you're going. So I'm going to go order the parts now and we'll check it out when I get them. All right, guys. All right, so I come back out here after a day just to kind of give this a second look, and it looks like there is more evidence. I don't know how easy it is to see on the camera, but it's all the way around from this bracket down here all the way. It's green. And I looked online, I did some research and found they do actually sell reseal kits for these style compressors. Let me hit some lights. So this outer sleeve has got two seals that go all the way around, and that's what seals that to the frame. And I guess that's what's leaking on mine, and it's letting pressure out. So you got the color there, and then with the toner here, it keys on it too. A little bit. So I'm feeling a lot better about spending the money on the compressor. The one that I found is an R134A compressor. It looks very similar to this one. And it's like a universal one, but it looks exactly like this one. Fit, finish, everything. It doesn't have the same barcode. It's got a different sticker, but it's got the same plug here because this one's got two pins or two prongs instead of a socket. So I think it's the same one, and it was like $200. So I really hope that's the problem. I really hope that finishes it up. On the one side, I'm glad I found what I think is a smoking gun and can fix it on the other side. I'm kind of frustrated that I've spent probably $300 on a freon refilling this thing multiple times thinking I had it fixed. I never would have thought that the compressor could leak out of the housing like that. I don't know what's inside there. I don't know how it's built. So now I do. I looked it up online. So I'm going to get the new compressor. It should be here by the weekend. We'll be able to put it on, pressure test it again, and hope that it holds. And if it does, I still have 3 cans of freon that should get us to the right volume of fluid inside the system. And the one I bought comes pre-filled with the OE oil. So I don't have to worry about how much oil to put in it. I just have to take this one off, put the new one on, connect, move the sensors over, things like that. Pretty straightforward. And I hope that fixes it because that's literally the last piece of this entire puzzle. So, fingers crossed. It's a lot of money, but it's worth it if the AC works on this thing. I will update you guys when we get the parts in. We'll check it out, make sure it looks exactly the same and it's all the bolts and everything line up. And then we'll get it swapped out. See you guys then. All right, so I got the compressor in, and I don't know if this is going to be a problem or not, but this is not the one I ordered. Rock Auto sent it to me. There's no packing slip, no invoice whatsoever in the box. They also quit sending their little magnets with the cool other people's cars on them. The last 2 orders I've gotten, I haven't gotten the magnets. And I have so many of them. I've been collecting them, put them up here. I don't get those anymore, whatever. But this compressor is not the one I ordered. And I'll put the side-by-side here. So you can see this one is actually a little bit more expensive. And I hope and assume it's off the same vehicle on the listing, that the bolt holes and everything match. The biggest thing that I noticed on this one is that it is listed as filled with shipping oil. The other one, the first one I bought, is filled with refrigerant oil, OE oil. So I thought I could just slap it on there and go. This one I'm going to have to drain and refill. And I do have some oil. I'll have to look up how much is supposed to go in the compressor and do a bunch of that stuff, which I can do. It's just a little frustrating that they sent me a different one. Maybe they were out of stock and sent the next one up. But it does come with some seals here, I guess, for this part. And then I've got to move my sensor over. I hope it works. I really do. I'm not going to start on it tonight because it's kind of late, but tomorrow probably. I mean, it looks similar in size and everything. This is not a hard plug. It's a wire. And see, the thing is, I found this specific one with that same little blue plug and everything, and that's what I ordered, and I wanted to be safe and know that what I ordered and what this is was the same. Like, for example, on that one, these holes are threaded on this side, where it looks like here, some of these go all the way through and screw into a bracket. So I don't know how that's supposed to work. I guess I'll figure it out whenever I start tearing it apart. The pulley looks to be about the same size, so I guess that's good. But anyway, parts are here. Pressures have dropped pretty significantly because it's been sitting out here for 3 or 4 days. So we do have a leak. Hopefully this fixes it. But anyway, a little update. We'll get started on it. See you guys in a little bit. All right, back out here. Fixing to go ahead and pull this compressor off. Looks like I'm going to probably have to remove this intake just to get it out of the way. Remove the hose we just replaced last time. Both of the wire assemblies. And then we've got 1, 2, maybe 3. One on the bottom. Bolts. There's one through here. There's like a bracket right there. Pretty straightforward. Shouldn't take too long. I'm going to go ahead and knock it out and get it off. Then we'll see what the oil that was in it looks like, because the paper that they sent me told me to inspect the oil and see if it's got debris in it or anything. And then we'll put the new one on. So I'm going to get started. Probably won't record it. Just going to be me turning a bunch of bolts. But we'll get to it. All right, some progress has been made. The bolt that holds this guy in, that goes into the top, that thing, they put that on with a fucking impact or something. So I had to use the big breaker bar and smash my thumb to get it to break free. But the other ones are smaller bolts, but they're still stuck. Like, I've got one here and one down there. And the problem is, this one hits the valve cover, but it's notched to get it out, but you can't spin this enough to roll it out, because this is thicker and it hits the bracket. So that's where I'm at right now. I have to get this bolt out to get the compressor out, but I can't because that's hitting back there. So I'm still working on it, but that's where I'm at. Progress, at least. All right, we got this thing out. There There is enough slack in there. If you lift the compressor up this way, you can slide that bolt out above the head, the valve cover. It's tight, but it does work. So we got it out. And I think the new one going back in is not going to be a problem because that chunk is not there. And like I said earlier in the video, this is not the same compressor. I ordered from what I could tell, this exact compressor. Everything looked the same. The bolts looked the same. The front looked the same. The casing, it even had this little tab on the side. It all looked the same. That's not what came. This one came. And from what I can tell, everything looks the same. The bolt holes line up. This stuff is in the right spot. This was a cap, a shipping cap in here, and it fits here, so it looks like the hose is going to fit. The plug that come out of there looks to be the right size. So I think everything is going to transfer over, and it doesn't have this notch. So it should slide right back in. I don't like that this is a wire hanging out here. I'm assuming that it'll be out of the way and not get caught on anything, but I don't really like that. But anyway, I'm going to start getting this thing put back in. It said that, oh, that's different. I may have to back this bolt out because you see that bolt intrudes into the, I think that's the high pressure blow off because it's got a hole in it. And mine, I think, is that one. So I think that's just a high pressure. I shouldn't have to mess with that. I'm confused though because the listing on the compressor says, it's upside down, but it says contains refrigerant oil. To me, refrigerant oil is this, right? But the advertisement on Rock Auto says it's shipped with shipping oil and that you have to drain it and refill it. So I guess I'm going to drain it. I got some cups to put it in. I guess I'm going to drain it just to be safe because I have enough here. It only needs like 2 ounces, 3 ounces in the compressor. I did lose a little bit the last time I evacuated it, so I'm going to put a little bit more, but 2 to 3 ounces in this should get me there. I'm going to drain this one first and see what comes out. At least try. I have to be able to spin this compressor though, and I don't know how hard that's going to be to do because it's a piston compressor, so you have to spin the compressor to push the oil out. But I'm going to get to working on that. We'll have a look at what comes out of this one and have a look at the volume that came out of this one and try to match it going back together. And then we'll get it reinstalled. And I'll catch back up with you guys when I make some progress. All right. All right, so this has been a bit more of a task than I anticipated. The compressor went in pretty straightforward. Like I said, not having that big notch on the back made it fall in a lot easier. I was able to put the bolts in. I was able to get everything started, everything tightened up. I went ahead and had put the brace on that went from here to back there, and then we ran into problems that started. I couldn't put this in because it was hitting the brace. So I tried clearancing it there. I tried some percussive clearance there. Couldn't really get it to go well. And I didn't want it to like rub a hole in that hose. So I took the brace off and I notched it with a grinder and then sprayed some paint on it. So I think that's going to clear. I don't really think it needs it. I mean, it's not like it's a lot of torque that way, but I'm going to put it back on there. So once I get that reinstalled, I think we're good. I think we're ready. I got this tightened up, new seals there, I got the sensor put in, the hoses or the wires connected, tuck that in, belts on. So I'm going to put the brace back on real quick. And then I think we can start. I don't know if I'm going to try vacuum or pressure because I want to do both. I want to make sure that it holds both pressure and vacuum before I go any further. But let me get this brace put back in and then we'll get started on that. All right, new clearanced support is in place and tight. Everything is reconnected. Like I said, we're good. I reconnected the gauges. I went ahead and almost hit 120 PSI. Not quite. My compressor is set at 120, but I guess it doesn't quite get there. But that's where we're at, just below 120. on both sides. So I've got the valves closed up. Everything's good. We're gonna let it set for, I don't know. I've got to go. I'm gonna go get cleaned up, and then I've got to do some work on my stepdaughter's car. She's got a bad ABS sensor. So I'll let that sit while that happens. Give it a couple of hours and come back and see. I'm optimistic. I don't hear any sounds, so it's not a large leak at least. But we never really had a large leak, so we'll see what happens. But so far, so good. It's just a lot more work than I anticipated with the support not fitting and the bolt not being able to come out and things like that. But I don't have any extra parts, no extra bolts. All the seals are replaced. I think we're good. So I'm going to let it ride, and we'll check back in a little while. See you then. All right, so it's been about an hour. I'm trying not to be too impatient. I really want this to work. So I'll come out here to check. And I mean, it's dead on where we left it. Just under 120, just over the 8, if you can see it in the back a little bit. It's dead on after an hour. So I'm feeling good about that. Feeling really good about that. I'm going to go ahead and put the air filter assembly back on because I don't think I'm going to need that off anymore. And then my stepdaughter's on her way to do her ABS sensor, so we'll knock that out and probably have some lunch, and then we'll check it again. And if it's still holding after all of that, we will pull the vacuum on it. And I'm going to let it set for an extended amount of time on vacuum, probably overnight, because I want to make for sure that this is good. And then in the morning, hopefully, we can refill this system and be done for sure. Because I know, in previous videos, I thought we were done. And we weren't. So, hopefully this is it. Alright, I'm going to throw the air filter back on there. I accidentally knocked that tube out of the fender well there when I was leaning on it. So, I got to put that back in somehow. But, easy stuff. Alright. Alright, back out here on the truck. We got the ABS module replaced on the daughter's car. Got some lunch. It's been about a little over 3 hours, I think. And we're still dead on. Dead on. Like it hasn't moved a millimeter. I'm really excited about that. So I'm going to go ahead and let this air out. Try not to lose any of my oil. And then we're going to get the vacuum pump hooked up, get this thing vacuumed down, and let it ride. See what happens. It's holding pressure. And in the past, the air, that's not, liquid conversion air, has went down quickly. And the fact that it hasn't moved at all is a really good sign. So, time to vacuum it down. All right, it's been about 30 minutes now on this vacuum. I'm going to let it run another 15 or so. The instructions for the compressor said a 45-minute vacuum. Then I'm going to seal it all up and let it ride for a couple of hours at least. It's early in the day and I'm getting impatient, so I don't know if I'm going to let it set overnight, but at least a couple of hours like I did with the pressure test. And as long as it holds and stays down there like it is now, -30, I think we'll have this one whipped. I'll be able to pat myself on the back and actually mark this one off the list for good. Let's hope. But I went ahead and put the grill back on, of course. I don't think I need to get to those connectors anymore. Got the intake filter and everything put back on. Now we wait. Another 15 minutes and I'll seal it up and then we'll see where it goes from there. I'm getting optimistic though. I probably shouldn't be, but feeling good about it. Feeling good about it. Let's see. All right, we are just shy of -30. You can barely see the line behind it. Sealed up tight. Compressor's off or vacuum's off. We're gonna let it ride. See what happens. Time is 2:45 in the afternoon, so see you guys in a couple hours. All right, guys, I'm impatient. I'll admit that. But I did some Googling, I did some research, and everybody that I've read online says a 15 to 30 minute hold of vacuum is enough to verify that there's no leaks. And we've been an hour and 5 minutes, and we're still dead nuts negative 30. Like, still there. It hasn't moved at all. So I'm feeling really good about it now. So it held the 120 PSI for 3 hours, and it's held the negative 30 vacuum for an hour, a little over an hour. I think we're good. So I'm going to start refilling it. Let me tell you, I am excited because it's only in the 80s maybe right now, but it's humid down here and it's rainy season, and you can't drive around with your windows down trying to get some air so you don't die if it's raining. You got to have air conditioner. You got to. And now with the new sensors and the way the pump was cycling the way it was supposed to before, I know it's a new pump, so we'll see what happens, but I am excited. So I'm going to start refilling it now. We're just going to go with it. We're going to do it. So I'm going to get can number 1 in, and then I'll let you guys know. First can in, second can's feeding. About halfway. It's going to kind of level out on the pressure, so we're going to have to turn on the compressor here in a minute to pull the rest of it in. So everything online says 30 ounces is a good start. And so this is 24 once this can's empty. Still got a little bit left in it. So that one, and then we'll slowly start feeding this one until it gets about half. And that's our 30 ounce start point. And we'll check and see what the gauges are doing and what the vent's doing. See how cold it is, see if the compressor's staying on. All right, it's time to start the truck. It's a moment of truth. Find the right key. See what she does. Hopefully nothing explodes. That would be bad. So fire up the truck. Full blow AC all the way cold, windows down. Air compressor is, well, the clutch is connected because it's spinning. The high side pressure is kind of wonky, but I think it'll settle down. A little low on this side, just below 30. This can's almost empty. See what the vents are doing. Blowing cool. Nothing to write home about, but it's cooler than the ambient. Speaking of ambient, what is our ambient temp? Because that does affect this a little bit. About 85. That's a good point. That high side's going wonky. All right, I think this can is empty, so I'm gonna swap it. Get a little bit more in there, and then we'll see what happens. I'll be right back. All right, so now that we're on this third can, what I'm doing is I've got this one open. I've got the low side open, and I just open this a little bit to feed a little bit in, and then shut it back off and let this pressure readjust. I want to say we're looking between 30 and 40, which is where we're at now. High side was between 175 and 200, which is actually where it's bouncing at. You can tell. So that's right about where we need to be. And it did take some of this can, probably about a third or a quarter of it. Blowing pretty cool. I do have my barbecue grill temp gauges that I use when I'm smoking meats. And I like to use this just put 1 meter just out here in the glove box for ambient temperature, and put the other one in this center vent because that's where you're supposed to check the temperatures. See what we got. It's about a 14-degree drop. Nope, other way. 10 degrees, 12, 14. If I can get the vent blowing in the low 60s, high 50s, I think that'll be really good, because I don't know, maybe it needs to be lower than that. Down to 65 right now. Let's go see what our gauges look like. All right, I'm gonna go look online again and see what our pressures are supposed to be, because I thought it was between 30 and 40 and between 175 and 200. So if that's the case, that's where we're at, but it's not blowing super cold. It is working though. We got moisture on the dryer back here. So the cold side is really cold. So that's working. All right, I'm gonna check these pressures and then I'll be right back. Giving the truck just a little bit of gas, kind of like the RPM you would have if you're cruising down the freeway. I'm able to get a 20-degree drop from ambient to vent temp. It was about 15, 14, something in that range before I brought up the RPM. But that's about as good as it's getting so far, which I'm not in love with. I would like to see it cooler than that. But we've taken basically half of this can. It's starting to get hot in the garage, so that's not helping either. The ambient temperatures went up from the engine running. I've got the door open back there, trying to vent some of it. But we're at 40 and 200 to 220 on our temps, on our pressures. That's the high side of where it's supposed to be, so I'm gonna leave it there and see how it works. I was having problems before with under acceleration. I could hear the compressor just tick, 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 tick. But I think it was something to do with the bad sensor that we replaced already. So I'm gonna try it out. I'm gonna drive the truck around a little bit, spend the next few days driving it and just enjoying it and seeing how the AC works. And run it through its system, let all the oil and everything cycle through everywhere it needs to be, and see how it works. And then we'll hopefully mark this one done after the weekend's over. It's a long holiday weekend, so I'll have plenty of time to drive it. I'm gonna actually go right now. So let's see what it does. All right, so just got done with about an hour-long drive in the OBS. Mostly highway stuff, a little bit of like surface streets and a little bit of traffic. And from what I can tell with the temperature sensors that I had, I was getting about a 20-degree drop from ambient cab temperature to output of the center vents, which is acceptable. Whenever I would hit traffic or have to slow down or a light or something like that, it would drop to more like 10 to 12. But it would come right back as soon as the RPMs come back up. So, I mean, it's working. I would prefer it to be better, especially when you're setting and it's not, you don't have the higher RPMs, because this engine should have plenty of torque to run the AC at idle with no problem. It's just not enough RPM, I think. So I'm fixing to grab the leak detector glasses and the light, and we're going to check everything real quick and just make sure there's nothing obvious. There is a little bit on the back of the compressor that I noticed earlier, but that's from where I filled it with the oil. The oil has that dye in it. So we're going to check it real quick, and as long as there's no leaks, I'm going to be happy. I think it's going to hold this time because both of our pressure tests held for a long time. And so let's see if we have any leaks. All right, we can start with the ones down here. they're pretty hard to see. I don't know if you can see down there, but there's no color on that one. And this one is even harder to see. No color there. The crimp points of the hoses. A little bit of leak from the high pressure fill point, but that's probably just where I took the end off earlier. Some up here. I'm going to clean that off because I think that's from when I filled it. I'm going to clean it and make sure, because that could be this connector that I had problems out of. Everything back here looks clean. Down there is clean. Crimp connector there is clean. All right, so I'm going to clean off the back of the compressor. And check it again later when I drive it again. But so far so good. It looks like everything's holding. AC worked fine the whole time I was driving for an hour, but in the past it's taken a couple of weeks for it to finally get low enough that it stops cooling to the point where it's noticeable. So we'll see. We'll see. All right, nice and clean now. No no glowing at all. Hopefully it stays that way. All right, I let the truck sit overnight after I cleaned up that compressor. Just back out here with the little light. We're going to double check everything. A little bit around the fill port there, but that's not a big deal. Looks good on the back of the compressor. There's a little bit right there around where the bolt is. I may try to snug that up a little more. Nothing back here, nothing down there. Nothing in those. I'm going to throw the gauges back on here and just see what our resting temperature, our resting pressures are, because they're supposed to be between 80 and 90. And as long as that is where it should be, I'm going to call this one done. It blew pretty cool yesterday. I may try to add a little bit more freon to it to get a little more out of it, but I'm right about the 30 ounces that everybody says to start with. So it should be pretty close. I'm going to get the gauges on there. We'll see what the resting pressures are and kind of go from there. But hopefully this one's done. All right, everything hooked up. Resting temperatures are dead on, right between 80 and 90. Looking good. Looking good. Like I said, I'm going to tighten that bolt up a little bit and call this one done. I think I'm going to leave it as it is. I don't want to mess with it anymore and cause problems or overfill it. So finish that up real quick and then knock this one off the list. All right, after letting the truck sit overnight, it's idling pretty low right now. It's cooler out here. The temperatures are just a little on the low side, or the pressures just over 30 on this side and bouncing at 160, 175 on this side. I did finish off that can, so we're right at 34 ounces of fluid, which should be right about where it needs to be. The vents are blowing cold, but it's cooler today. It's overcast, so it's probably closer to 80. Let's go look. I think it's warmer in here than it is outside. Yeah, it's just below 80, so it's a little cooler. So that'll affect temperatures by a few degrees, or affect the pressures. But it's blowing pretty cold. So I think that's where I'm going to leave it. See how long it lasts. I did get a quarter turn out of that bolt to tighten that, and then I did clean off what little bit we saw here, so I'll be able to check it again in a few days and make sure that there's no more leaks. But I'm going to mark this one off the list and just enjoy it, see how long it lasts, because if this doesn't work, then I'm out of ideas. I've got to find somebody else that can look at it. So that's where we're at.
we're going to go ahead and finish this one off there. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with me out in the garage and tagging along while I try to figure this stuff out and learn as I go. If you like this content, please be sure to subscribe. I just hit 1,000 subscribers, which is really cool. I never thought I would make it that far. It's, you know, it's just me out here hanging out, you know, working on cars. So I appreciate everybody that subscribed. Thank you so much. If you enjoy the OBS content, please be sure to subscribe if you haven't already. There's going to be a lot more to come. Once I finally get this AC working the way it's supposed to, I can dive into the engine upgrades. I want to probably pick up a draggy so I can document along the way what it does, like baseline, and then maybe do exhaust. And then, you know, as I step through the upgrades I want to do, see what net benefits we get. We've also got more things to do on the Jeep and the Vet. So, you know, things are coming. New things are coming. So, thank you guys. Thank you. And for now, we're going to finish it off. You guys have a good one and rock on.